Hello and welcome to the October 2021 edition of the Pembrokeshire Bird Diary. I'm Annie Haycock from the Pembrokeshire Bird Group, here to share some of the highlights of the month. October was full of typical unsettled autumn weather, and the trickle of migrants seen in September now turned into a flood, starting on the 1st. The highlight of the day's bird watching at Strumble were 4 Sabines gulls. Another 5 were seen there on the 6th, 3 on the 21st, and 1 was seen from Skomer on the 25th. A snow bunting at Marlows on the 1st was one of several during the month, including sightings at Skocombe, Dale Airfield, Skomer, Newport behind the Boat Club, and Dinas Head. Still on the 1st, at least 6 redwings were reported from Llanacire, though we had to wait a little longer for the first field fares. However, there was an influx of both in the middle of the month, including 238 redwings on Skocombe and 180 at Letterston. Smaller numbers were seen across the county during the rest of the month. Skocombe wasn't going to be left out of the first of the month bonanza. Richard and Giselle reported that the howling westerlies of the last few days of September continued, with gusts of over 40 miles an hour recorded during the morning. Surely this weather should bring in something from North America. So of course Giselle went out and found a Richard's pipit, a species from eastern Siberia which should be heading for Southeast Asia. Richard's pipit is an almost annual visitor to the county. Most of the recent records have been from Skocombe. However, this is the first since 2018. Unfortunately, this species is usually only a fleeting visitor to the island, and this one in November 2017 is the only one that stayed long enough to have its photo taken. A Blythe's reed warbler conveniently flew into a mist net on the 9th. This was Skocombe's second record and the 4th for the county. Unlike the Ramsay bird in spring 2020, this one couldn't be identified by song, so close examination of the bird in the hand was necessary. On the same day, a Siberian chiffchaff also flew into a net, and was caught again 2 days later, by which time it had managed to increase its body weight by 10%. A day later, and there were 3 Siberian chiffchaffs on the island. This subspecies of chiffchaff breeds across Russia, as far west as the White Sea, and usually winters across Arabia and East Burma. Yet a few end up in Britain each autumn, with some staying over the winter. They're not easy to distinguish from regular chiffchaffs, and you need to hear the bird call or collect a feather for DNA analysis to be certain. On the 10th, a Chetty's warbler was caught at the well. This was only the 4th for Skocombe, but the 2nd in 2 years. The star of the Skocombe bonanza was surely the red-flanked bluetail that landed there on the 11th. It was a first for the island and only the 2nd for Pembrokeshire. Perhaps its appearance wasn't too surprising, considering the Siberian chiffchaffs, the Richard's pipits, and so on, that have all come from the same general direction to the north and east. The bluetail has, however, been expanding its range westwards, and apparently over 1,750 singing males were recorded in Finland this year, a huge increase on only a few years ago. The northeastern invasion continued with a yellow-browed warbler on the 14th. The first ever Welsh record for this species was on Skocombe back in October 1953. It visits more frequently now, with the island having seen 30 of them since 2013. Among the less exotic birds to turn up on Skocombe were the 2nd and 3rd great spotted woodpeckers of the autumn, making only 8 to ever be seen there. The breeding season can now probably be officially declared to be over, as the last of the storm petrels in the study plots fledged on the 7th, and the few left in the quarry probably departed in the following few days. 80% of the study plot pairs fledged a chick, so that could mean nearly 1,600 youngsters from the island overall. Definitely one of their best seasons. Skomer also had a good few days, starting with a velvet scoter on the 9th, then a glossy ibis heading east with a flock of jackdaws on the 11th. This appears to be the first glossy ibis record for Skomer. Then the first Lapland bunting of the autumn later the same day. On the 24th there was the first woodcock of the year, also a Siberian chiffchaff at the farm and a snow bunting flying over. And finally a woodlark on the 30th. Meanwhile, back on the mainland, probably the most spectacular sights were the large numbers of jays. Jays are often more visible in the autumn as they collect acorns to store for the winter. However, this year there weren't many acorns, and the jays were even more visible as they roamed around searching for food. 2020 was a bumper year for acorns, thanks to good weather in the spring, so jays and any other species reliant on acorns probably survived well last winter, and then perhaps had a good breeding season this year. Good acorn years happen every 5 to 10 years, and are usually followed by a bad year as the trees have to recover from the effort of producing a lot of seed. Hence, this year the jays were having to search far and wide. The larger flocks included 20 at Westfield Pill on the 4th, 90 at Castle Martin Course on the 6th, and another 38 on Ramsey, an island record. Several large flocks were seen over Skomer, including one group of 60 in North Valley on the 7th, and 192 flew north or northeast over St Govan's on the 9th, including a flock of 75. The last time these sorts of numbers were recorded was back in 1983, when there were counts of 200 over Martinshaven on the 6th of October and 127 flying west at Strumble Head on the 19th. Talking of Strumble Head, there were some impressive days of sea watching this month. On the 5th, for example, as well as the Sabines gulls mentioned earlier, observations included 2 long-tailed skuas, 2 grey phalaropes, 6 Balearic shearwaters, a Pomerine skua, and no fewer than 20 Leach's storm petrels. Leach's petrels are difficult enough to see as they are small and dark and rarely come close to land. On the 7th, a grounded bird was brought to the Ocean Lab at Fishguard, where it was duly measured, weighed and ringed before being released back at the coast. This juvenile ringed plover stopped in Egrets on the 2nd. It was ringed 1,000 kilometres away in southern Norway on August the 29th, so probably came from even further north. American golden plovers have been turning up regularly since 2016. This juvenile was at the Dale airfield from the 8th to the 16th of October, and like many waders there, was often difficult to find. Bob was doing a webs count at Landshipping Quay when his attention was drawn to the Sprinkle Pill side of the Daugleddau by the distinctive calls of pink-footed geese. He soon located these 3 pinkfeet on the muddy shore alongside 70 or more Canada geese and a rather dominant greylag. The pinkfeet seemed rather nervous and mostly kept out of the way of the greylag that was chasing away other geese that got anywhere near it. They apparently stayed around for only a week or so. While several grey phalaropes have been recorded flying past Strumble Head in the past few weeks, at last there was one that anyone could see fairly easily, if you happen to be in the right place at the right time, that is. This one spent a few hours near the Iron Bridge at Newport on the 20th. A smart drake ring-necked duck took up residence at the Tivy Marshes on the 22nd, staying on into November. Technically, it spent most of the time in the Ceredigion part of the reserve, but occasionally strayed across into Pembrokeshire. 2 hooper swans dropped into Bosherston Lakes on the 20th, then a group of up to 7 were seen regularly on the Gann during the last week of the month, along with a glossy ibis and a cattle egret. Cattle egrets are another species being seen here more regularly. As well as that one at the Gann, this one put in a brief appearance at Goodwick Harbour on the 29th. Well, that's a quick whiz through October. Thank you for watching, and I hope you'll look out for next month's edition.